Anybody remember this one?
We run this mother. We run this mother. Sing it out. We run this mother.
I like a drum beat.
Here we go.
All right.
Sing it. Who run this mother?
I wonder who this is. I had to play.
Oh. I think I'm the only one in the show right now. Looks like Jack is having some technical difficulties right now.
It's like I got taken out.
Welcome
this was
back,
such a
Jackie.
big moment. It took me out. It was that live moment where all of a sudden the song became bigger than the host. Hi everyone, it's TJP Ask series with Jin. My man Jin is back, and of course, as you saw, Beyonce just blew me out of the water and took me right out of the live.
She did.
She did. That's how powerful that woman is. You just, billionaire Beyonce. The
Exactly.
two B's, billionaire Beyonce. She is certainly running the world. And, there's so much inspiration on a day like today coming from people like Beyonce, who are literally running the world, right, Jen? It's Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day, Confidant community. Welcome to the Ask series version of the TJP series, where we get our audience to ask us anything. As I said, it's Women's Day. We want to talk about challenges that women are facing right now, especially coming out of the pandemic. Some challenges that we were already facing as women. Some of them got exacerbated around the pandemic. We had a scenario, women entrepreneurship flatlined, unfortunately, during the pandemic for all of the reasons that, we've been dealing with before. Women businesses tend to be underfunded, shoestring. Women have to deal with the disruptions that childcare, has to do with childcare. They're typically the unpaid work when it comes to childcare. They're also typically the unpaid work when it comes to household. There's a lot of expectations on women to do so much, and they're often getting paid less when they even are getting paid, right? So we don't make as much. The other thing is we live longer than men. We're taking time off work more to have children and care for our aging parents. And, all of these issues became flatlined, as I mentioned, during the pandemic, where a lot of women are like going, is this all worth it? Right? So we are here to tell you that, one of the ways to overcome some of these challenges is building financial confidence, focusing on your finances. I really believe that building wealth is one of the most important things that women can do for long-term financial security, for long-term financial determination, self-determination. These are things that, we really have to spend time on. And the fact is, we're learning maybe this much. We're still learning, scratching the surface when it comes to financial literacy in schools. So we definitely, and this isn't something we learn. If we don't learn at home, we may not learn at all. And it's an area women still feel very vulnerable in. So we definitely, have a lot of work to do as women. And so we want to talk about, Jen and I are going to share how to overcome some of these challenges that we have to deal with. We also, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, women suffered divorce. So people were separating. We've spoken about this in our last live. In case you didn't see it, you got to check it out. Our guest was amazing. But yeah, women were separating. And typically when a woman leaves a relationship with kids, she is 3 to 5 times more likely to end up in poverty after a divorce. So, these are other ways that, financially we are challenged. And as I said, the big thing sometimes that hurts us is this societal judgment. I call it patriarchal judgment, where a lot of the patriarchal judgment that weighs upon us really makes it hard for us to build that confidence and move forward. So anyway, financial confidence isn't the panacea for everything, but it certainly is one of those things that can really feel like you're making progress forward. I'm always, and Jen knows this, I'm all about focusing on the things that you can control. And I know personally my story, Confidant community, welcome to the Live at 5. You know the story. You know my story. I, went from, being on my own since the age of 16 and having to build wealth from scratch and being a 7-figure earner. And that only happens when you just focus on the things you can control. I could control learning about money, and that was my focus. And I don't think I'm special. I think it's just something that I decided I wanted to put time in, and you can too. So stay tuned. We're going to get into all the different ways we can overcome some of these challenges as we, shift our focus on Women's Day and look at ways we can build financial wealth and build financial health. So Jin, you've been hearing me talk a little bit about this truly important subject. So I'm really glad you're back. This is the time for us to decide we're not going to procrastinate, right? We're going to really, make sure that 2023, we're already, can you believe 3 months going into the 3rd month of 2023? And, this time for women who are out there intent on building their financial IQ, we're going to be here to support. So let's talk about some real life cases, Jen.
Sure.
What, because we've talked to clients who've had, their challenges overcoming, their roadblocks, mental blocks, maybe even, the mindset piece when it comes to, building financial health. Let's talk about some of these circumstances and how we help them, because I think it's important for people to know.
Sure. Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me back. Well, hello, the Confidant community, and happy International Women's Day. I'm happy to be part of this live on a very special day and to talk about a topic that is very relevant to the Women's Day today. And so hopefully what we talk about today can add a lot of values to helping women achieve financial independence.
Yeah, I want people to know what it looks like. I can't say enough how making people feel good about their finances, how powerful that is, and how privileged we feel every day that we get the opportunity to do this for our clients.
Exactly, 100%. That's what I like the most about being a financial planner. And and so we work a lot with clients who are women, and especially clients who recently went through divorce or might be in this process of going through the divorce. So as you can imagine, going through divorce, it's a big thing. It's a big challenge. There are a lot of clients. There's a lot of things to consider. They're very emotionally under distress, and not only that, there's all this legal process to consider. They need to think about settlements, equalization payments, and on top of that, they will have this lingering thought on their behind and thinking, will I be okay after the end of this process?
Yes. And, again, live community, if you didn't see last week's or the week before's live where we had the family law lawyer on, she could go into some great detail. She went into some great detail about what it looks like to go through, negotiating when the marriage breaks down. It was riveting. And so it's an emotional time for people, no doubt, Jen.
Exactly. So, what we do as financial planners when we work with the clients, let's say who's going through a divorce right now, is we try our best to help client gain the clarity and the financial confidence, knowing that they will be okay after the entire process on their own. So as part of our job to untangle everything as much as we can, at least on the financial side, is first looking into their cash flow. So by looking into that, we really help them see what their cash flow is right now with their income. And once they once they begin receiving potential spousal or child support, if there will be any, and what after the equalization payments, how much money will they be coming in, and how much money will be going out once they are by themselves and spending on their own expenses. And this is one way to really help them see clearly that how much they will have available also for bigger goals like preparing for retirement.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Confidant community, and I don't know because we spoke a couple weeks ago now where we were talking about divorce. Have you gone through? We would love to know if you've gone through the divorce process. If you're on this live and you've gone through the divorce process, how did you overcome your mental blocks? What we've seen for people who've gone through that process, they never expected to be alone. They never expected that they'd have to think through finances on their own, make financial decisions on their own, figure out how they were going to pay their bills on their own. So just being able to go through those numbers with them and just give them the reassurance, as you mentioned, Jen, that they're going to be okay is so profound.
And I think, yeah, I agree with you 100%, Jackie. So our job as a planner is to really hold our client's hand in difficult times to help them really understand that they'll be okay and give as much support as possible. And I think once the clients know they'll be okay financially, that gives a lot of emotional support and peace of mind and make the process a little easier.
Yeah, and it's not about my favorite line with clients is, instead of me telling you you're going to be okay, let me show you. Let's look at your numbers. Let's look at your cash flow statement, and let's understand retirement, your assets, your net worth statement. Let me show you in real financial terms that you're going to be okay. It's not enough to say it, right, Jen?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the whole scenario planning, right? Let's look at scenarios, worst case scenarios. I know you're going to go into it a little bit more, but truly, that the importance of showing someone that they're going to be okay is so powerful. So the other piece that we should talk about, Jen, is insurance. I talk to a lot of clients who going through divorce and they don't even know. So here they are making settlement terms. So let's say they have children and they are expected to get child support payments from their former partner, and they don't know if they can count on, if something happens in the future, if their partner passes away, how is that going to impact their circumstances? So there's a few options that you have, Confidant community. One of the things you can do is, if you have an existing life insurance plan in place, one of the things that you can do is you can change yourself. You can ask the courts to change yourself to the owner of the policy, assuming that it's going to be enough insurance. And then that way you take over the ownership of the policy. And you can either ask the courts for your husband, your former partner to pay the premiums, or you can mandate through the court that the premiums be paid by your former partner as a part of your divorce settlement. I am so shocked by the amount of clients who come to me who don't know this. And I think I can attribute it to a couple things. One is, you can't always assume that your lawyer is going to know everything there is to know about finances, which is why it's so essential to build that team if you're going through a divorce and you're trying to figure out your finances. But risk management in a divorce plays such an important role in terms of a former couple's financial security. And, again, if you have a former partner who might have health issues, going through the whole insurance process, again, might be challenging. So just taking that policy with you is an option, just in case you weren't aware of it. The other part of risk planning that's so important as a single person is, I have a lot of clients worried now that they're the only bill payer, that, income replacement. Do they have enough coverage through their workplace to ensure that if something happens, they're going to be able to continue to pay the bills? Or especially with children, if they had a critical illness, how could that impact their circumstances with little ones and childcare and parking and all the things that, God forbid, when you have a critical illness, you have to think about. And finances are tight now. So where would the money come from? So risk management really important in a person who's going through that process is financial plan and a
Mhm.
really important role in a woman's ability to feel like they're going to be okay. One of the things
Exactly.
that Jen and I, as we were putting together this talk for today, is I talked to him about, I don't know how many of you have heard of my book that I wrote on the subject of female empowerment called Single by Choice or Chance. And what I found when I did research for this book is that women who never expected to be alone had the worst financial outcomes. Remember, ladies, we live longer than men, right? And as a result, we have
Yes, you do.
more healthcare costs than men,
Mhm.
right? And that means we have to put that much more away for retirement. So that whole being okay thing is a real thing, ladies. It's a real thing. All right, Jen.
Exactly.
So how do you, again, it's that whole like maintaining your lifestyle on your own. And I
Mhm.
think, that's something that we have to consider as women as we are looking and seeking long-term financial security. So
Exactly.
go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, and also not just for individual single women who's going through divorce, and
Mhm.
a lot of people, I think, tends to overlook on the importance of looking at the insurance needs over time.
That's correct.
And during different life stages, the insurance needs changes over time, and there are your insurance protections, your coverage amounts should also reflect the changes that's going through your life. And divorce, big life events like divorce is where your insurance needs changes a lot. Uh, Includes everything Jackie talked about. What if your ex-spouse cannot pay spousal payment? That's a big thing. And also likely if you're divorcing, you might be getting a new home for yourself.
That's right.
So that you'll be taking on a new mortgage.
Right.
Do you have enough insurance in place to cover for the mortgage in case, God forbid, something happens to you, so that you will leave your home to your children? So these are a lot of things. There are a lot of changes happening on the insurance needs side as well. So
Yeah,
that's
and
definitely. Mhm.
speaking of single women, suddenly single women. So let's say I'm a widow, right? And I assume everything's fine because my husband took care of things, things are supposed to be good. And I find out on divorce, not on divorce, on death, that there's still a mortgage on the property, there's taxes to be paid, and I made a significantly lower income than my spouse. How am I going to continue to live in that home and pay the bills? Right.
Exactly.
And so, if you're someone in that circumstance where your partner earns more than you do and you need both incomes to pay the bills, what happens if you suddenly become single again, never expecting to be on your own, and now are in a scenario where the bills still need to be paid? That's why you really want to be a part of that family finance conversation and
Yep.
figure out where money is located. That's a really eye-opening scenario. You don't want to find out in a divorce, and you certainly don't want to find out on the death that what you thought was things were doing well, that things aren't doing so well on death. It's a really not great scenario to be in. So it's just ensuring what the finances of the family look like, what the net worth looks like, if there's a risk plan in place to secure your long-term financial well-being.
Yeah. 100%.
So now let's talk about retirement, because I think talking about, suddenly single people going through a divorce, having that risk plan being crucial, as we said, the whole retirement piece for women who are going through a divorce, who didn't expect to be on their own. What are some of the things that they need to be thinking about, Jen?
So when it comes to retirement planning, especially for the clients who are going through uncertain times, it's important to think about the what if scenarios,
Mm.
and then look at different scenarios and see whether how ready they'll be in terms of the retirement under all these scenarios.
Right.
So we had specific clients who were very worried about what uncertainties, not just around their personal finances and personal life, but also on a more macroeconomic level as well. So we had a client who wanted to look at the extreme end of high inflation going on for a long time, and
Yes.
also investment returns not generating enough income.
Yes, she was like,
And
I don't want to eat cat food, Jen. Please be sure I'm not eating cat food. Even though
exactly.
she's wealthy, but she was still worried about being okay.
Yeah, exactly. So what we did for the client was we assumed the investment does not grow at all after inflation. So historically, statistically speaking, that's not likely be true, given that investments has generated real return after inflation over the
Right.
long time. But that was a scenario once we did analysis on would put peace into the client's mind. So at the end of the day, it's not what everything happened historically or what we use for assumptions based on the guidelines from the industry. At the end of the day, it's doing a scenario that will make our clients feel comfortable. So that's exactly what we did, and client wanted to, after looking at the results, client was very happy about it, and still wanted to try different options here and there. So
Yes.
we did all kinds of different scenarios, such as what if long-term care costs become very expensive, more than what it would cost right now, and all kinds of different. What if I live a lot longer past 100? So all those were the scenarios we did, and like I said again, and that was something that really put peace into her mind, and that is what part of what we do to provide value to clients and to help our clients feel really financially confident.
Yeah, and again, it is all about making the client comfortable, and making the client comfortable again is giving them those scenarios so they can see what it is that they can control, right? Because one of the things we've learned over the last, I've been in the business 25 years, and probably in the last 10 in particular, so actually maybe the last 15 in particular, we've seen a lot more volatility in the markets. We've seen, the economic cycle shrink and then grow and then shrink again. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of headlines I've seen a lot of headlines, in particular over the last 15 years. So there's a lot of noise in the market, and there's a lot of reasons that people are losing sleep around their finances. Because the reality is we're talking about inflation, Jen, and a real thing around that, I feel, is, a lot of times, I was having a conversation a couple of weeks ago when I did a speaking event. Real wages haven't gone up for everyone, right? So inflation has come up, interest rates have come up, but real wages haven't come up for everyone. And just factor in if you're a woman who's being paid less than a man. So your real wages haven't come up, and so you've never made a lot, and now your real wages haven't come up to keep up with all of the additional interest costs and all of the additional inflation costs. How are you making it? Like, what does that look like? And what does the day-to-day struggle and the mental health struggle of all of that? Again, FP Canada did a study last year during the pandemic, and still, health is not the biggest concern for Canadians, folks. It's wealth. It's lack of wealth, to be precise.
Yep.
So people are still suffering. They're still losing a lot of sleep around their money. And women in particular, for goodness sake, we were, a number of women were the ones who went through the she session the most. Try saying that 3 times fast. The she session, where a lot of service workers, again, not the most highest paid workers, right, were off. We're still not able to, lots laid off during the pandemic, still trying to recover from what they lost in terms of wages and what they lost and had to pay in terms of childcare, not, having lack of childcare and just, maybe coming out of the market altogether because there were just so many financial headwinds and social and economic headwinds that they had to deal with. So, if you're someone who is dealing with the fallout from the pandemic and trying to figure out, now that we're, into this inflationary high interest rate time, how you're going to pay the bills, really important to really get that financial knowledge up, build that financial IQ. Would you agree, Jen?
Yeah, 100%. That's actually one of the areas we help our clients as well. And because what we believe that true financial independence, kind of confidence, can only really come after having each one of us being having more financial knowledge and improving our financial IQ. And that's the area we help our client throughout the process as we go through some of the recommendations we have for the clients and talk about their finances. What we do is we try to provide as much educational content as possible, helping demystifying a lot of financial jargons, and also really help cut through the noises. There's, like Jackie mentioned, there's a lot of noises out there, especially during uncertain times like now.
Yes.
Or even before now, like when everything was going up and hot, there's a lot of news about what's the next big thing, and
Yes.
people talking about exactly making a lot of money.
Bitcoin. Then
Yeah,
not
quote unquote
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin before the whole crash. And so our job is to really help them cut through the noises and really help them understand what's most important for them given their unique circumstances.
Yeah. What do you care about? I always kind of think of it as, what's all the dangers in your current financial circumstances? What are the opportunities in your current financial circumstances? What do you want to see happen that would make you feel like you're going to sleep better, be in a better financial circumstance, feel more confident over the next 1 to 3 years? These are some things to ask yourself, whether you're working with a team like ourselves or you're working with another financial professional, just important things for you to answer for yourself. That money conversation, ladies, with yourself has never been more important. We know that people are stressed about money. What steps can you take to empower yourself, to build your financial confidence this Women's Day? It's your decision to make. Don't be an ostrich is the thing when it comes to your financial circumstances. Don't just, keep worrying, keep wondering, not dealing with it, not looking at your financial statements and hoping that things are going to get better. Be the change in your life that you want to see. Be that mentor, that person that your children can look up to so that you can change the narrative, change the legacy, so we can actually all work harder building our women's wealth together. That's what we'd like to see this Women's Day, and that's what we wish for you. Jody is on the live. If you're someone who does need support, you don't have to do it alone, right? Our team's here to help. Feel free to reach out to her, reach out on their 30-minute offer, our 30-minute offer on how you can build your financial IQ. And definitely, if you found this live useful, please feel free to share it. Please feel free to like it. Definitely, we're going to be sharing all kinds of tips and strategies for the whole month, Women's Month. So definitely stay tuned for that. And thank you, Confidant community, for tuning into Live at 5 today. Hope you enjoyed our jam. Hopefully we jam together, and we will see you next week.
All right.
Take care,